40 Pints, where we drink like the booze is free. And it actually is free today, but it's at Glenbrook Brewery. I'm here with Darren Cregan and Heath Traver of Glenbrook Brewery. Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Usually I buy the booze, so this is actually a treat. I appreciate it. We got a flight here, right? So I think we got a little bit of a mixed bag. So what I would like to start with is, I'm going to start from right to left. Is that the right way to go?
Yeah.
So I got a Pilsner here. Tell me a little bit about this one.
Sure, that's our Czech style Pilsner beer. It's one of our newest beers that we've created. It's one of the newer members of our catalog.
Delicious.
We made it because we kind of gravitate towards lighter, crisper beers, and we held off on making this because it takes longer to make. It ferments at a lower temperature. It takes like 6 weeks before it's done.
Yeah.
So we kind of were holding off until we were comfortable, and then.
Is that what the length of time gives it that smoother taste, or what's the 6 weeks?
If you can see the color on that thing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Clear.
Yeah.
So that's where the time, over
delicious.
time, it cleans itself.
This is like something you could drink while doing construction with.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, and the story behind this is that we went to a craft beer conference this past summer in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and he took a class with the Czech beer masters.
Yeah, the head brewer from Pilsner Cal, which is they actually invented this style. And
Very
it's
cool.
the most popular style in the world. So and they've perfected it. So it was good to kind of learn and get some information from them. So I knew I wasn't screwing it up too bad.
Yep.
And it came out nice. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Awesome. Looks like you got a Pilsner and a Pilsner first as well.
Yep.
Well, cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Cheers, brothers.
Yeah,
Salute.
it's a good call.
Excellent. So I guarantee you that there's somebody looking at this and saying, man, these guys did it. How did they do it? So I'd love to hear a little bit of the story if you guys would share. Maybe like literally from like when did you create your first fucking beer?
All right, so good. It's actually an interesting story. So our brother-in-law Skip got me. He was my Secret Santa one year, and got me a 1-gallon beer kit for Christmas. And so I started making beers in the kitchen, creating and having fun and enjoying it. And that was back in like 2012. And then started creating different styles, sharing with family and friends, and just enjoying it. Then all of a sudden, I found myself ordering bigger equipment and scaling up and just making more beers and just enjoying the hobby. So that's kind of where it started.
Yeah.
Pitch it.
How did you get involved there, Dan?
Well, I started with marketing. My background's always been art direction, creative direction, and marketing. So in 2012, I think you started in 2011. It was Christmas gift. In 2012, you came to me and said, "Hey, I got this crazy idea."
Now you guys are brother-in-laws.
Yes, we're
Very cool.
Yeah. And so I had this crazy idea. I want to open a brewery, and I want to smoke meat and serve cold beer. And I was like, really? Oh, okay, you're talking to the right guy. So it kind of got my wheels spinning. Heath was making 1 gallon at a time, and when he got the bigger equipment, he started making 5 gallons at a time. So that led from 12 cans or 12 bottles to 2.5 cases when he sized up. So all of a sudden, he's making one style of beer. He's making 5 variations of the one style of beer. And we had all this beer, and we started inviting our friends over and drinking it with family and friends.
I like that.
Yeah, that was fun. We make 5 different variations of the same beer and drink it together. And say, okay, number 2, that's the winner. That's the one we scale up and go to 5 gallons with it.
Nice.
So we kind of honed in a lot of our recipes.
Yeah.
So, and then after 5 gallons, what did you do? Did you really?
Big stuff. Yep.
Wow. So you went in. So that's like the next step.
That was the big leap. Yep. We were just doing 5 gallons at a time, and then brewery kind of we won at the local Morristown Mash, which is the local homebrew competition, won an award for a silver medal for the pumpkin ale. That's actually this one right here.
Nice. Yeah.
We just dropped it yesterday, actually again.
Yeah.
So that actually was what kind of gave us a little bit of momentum.
Gotcha.
So Heath came to me and said, I want to smoke meat and open up a brewery. And I said, okay, you're talking to the right guy. I just started getting my wheels turning. So he's like, well, what are we going to call the brewery? And he living on Glenbrook Road. And we said, Glenbrook Brewery, you're making the beer here. Let's just call it. Rolls off your tongue. We thought it was great. He loved it. And then I started thinking about the marketing. And I'm like, I grew up in Morristown here. So I've camped, grew up, the whole thing here. So I started thinking about all the national parks. And from there, it was kind of like Colonial Ale. That was one of our first beers that we made. Morristown Colonial football team. It was hyper local. So I was like, that was just like the starting point. And then the pumpkin ale, what are we going to call that? Well, Jockey Hollow Pumpkin Ale.
Love it. Yeah.
And so that was just kind of like how it started snowball. And then, like as a nod to all the national parks and history of the town, we just started attaching brew styles to different parks in the town, and it's worked out great for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, one of Darren's key ideas, which has been great, is he's been protecting all the intellectual property. So up with a name, trademark.
Yeah.
And protect it.
Yeah.
So that was good foresight.
What's
Yeah.
this next one?
So that's our Kolsch. It's a German style Pilsner beer. It actually won a platinum award.
Good time for October.
Yeah, that's one of the more popular ones. Now it's one we created in the beginning. These people kept coming in saying, "Hey, at home I drink Coors Light. At home I drink Miller Lite." Okay, well, what kind of style of beer? We'll maintain the craft integrity, but we'll satisfy those people that want to drink that kind of beer. So we came up with the Kolsch.
And then what would be the difference between a Kolsch and a Pilsner? Because they're both very light and very, very crisp. The Pilsner has a little bit different of a...
It's a different kind of yeast and a different kind of hops. So,
Yeah.
so the Pilsner, the Czech Pilsner uses Saz hops, which is specific to that region. It's from that country.
Yep.
And they traditionally use that. And then the Kolsch uses a German style hop.
It's almost actually... Would it be right in saying it's almost a little bit lighter than the Pilsner?
Yeah,
Would just
I mean,
be
they're
surprising to say.
similar.
They're pretty similar, right?
This has a little bit more bite to it than the Kolsch.
Right.
But it quickly became a really popular beer, and we've been having success.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of I think a lot of people focus on the hoppier ones lately. And I think these two are delicious.
Yeah, well, it was part of our plan from the beginning was to try and make something that any beer style drinker have something here for everybody. That was kind of like one of our
Yeah.
initial goals
Yeah.
right from the beginning.
So then when you go from 5 gallons to how many gallons is which one?
About 500, and then these guys are about 1,000 gallons each. So we got to brew twice in that for one.
And then so you went to 500 gallons. What'd you do with all that beer once it came out? Did you already have like a distribution plan, or how did that go? Like
Eventually, we're going to be, getting into distribution. We're in the beginning, we were kind of focused on the tap room. We were actually just running as fast as we could, just trying to put out fires and figure it out as we go. We knew distribution was part of the plan, the long-term plan. In the beginning, it was mostly brewing for the tap room and starting to try to get distribution going.
tap room.
Tap room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tap
so
room.
just to back up, we've only been open 20 months now,
Yeah.
and we opened in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And a lot of people might remember it was 35% occupancy at 6 feet apart from each
Yeah.
other. So we can handle about 200, 220 people in the tap room with the extra space that we have. But there, like, I think our max was like 60 people.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of it right in the beginning of opening was tap room.
So then the next question the brewer is going to ask is like, well, how do I make money off of this? So did you guys like say, okay, this is how much my costs are, and like this is how much I'm selling it for, or did you say that's going to come? I trust in my product. How did that kind of go?
Well, the first thing was getting started was in 2015. I got my hands on my father-in-law's credit card, and I
Nice.
said, we're going to take it 2015. So now it's 2012. We're already making lots of beer between 2015. Fast forward, I got the credit card, and I said, "Hey, Dad, we're going to register the company. We're going to trademark a couple of things right off the bat, and we're just going to kind of see where this goes." So we registered the company, went to LegalZoom.com, registered the company, filed for Colonial Ale as a trademark, filed for Jockey Hollow Pumpkin Ale as a trademark, and filed for Revolutionary Beer as a trademark. Well, it's easy to register the company. Colonial Ale got shot down because it's a style of beer. We got awarded Jockey Hollow Pumpkin Ale, and that was the one he won his first medal for, the silver medal. And then Revolutionary Beer, the government official at the trademark office said, "Listen, somebody else owns that. It's about to expire. If it expires, I'll give it to you guys if they don't renew." And it didn't renew. And then all of a sudden the phone started ringing. That's a whole nother story. But we started with registering, and then with the award, with some registrations going, we had some ammo to talk to the bank and some confidence to talk to the bank. So then at that point, it was sitting down. I had a business presentation already put together, projected sales, projected thing.
So what does a bank say to a brewery?
Well,
Opportunity.
which one? Who was the first one? That was
Bank of America, we went to first. Yeah.
idiots.
They never got back to us.
Hashtag Bank of
Yeah,
America.
they didn't call us back.
Wow.
So
Yeah, they're not good with small businesses.
So,
It's
so
a
with,
fact.
because of the whole like Revolutionary War theme, hyper, local, we decided to go with PPAC Gladstone Bank, Target Deb, local bank. They're phenomenal.
Yeah.
yep, been a great partnership with them.
I was watching, I think it's Damon John speak. He's the guy from Shark Tank. He said he went to 27 banks. And then what his mom said was, give me $500. And she put an ad in the paper, said, has $3 million in sales, need funding.
Yeah.
And that's what he had. He had a bunch of sales and he needed funding and no bank would give him money.
Yeah.
So it's every entrepreneur,
Yeah.
I think, goes through this issue.
Yeah.
I started mine with credit cards. Speaking of credit cards,
Yeah.
I had about $35,000 in credit card debt to start the company because I was 26 years old. No one was giving me a loan. I didn't
Yeah.
have a house. I had no collateral.
Yeah.
Like, who was going to give me a loan? You know.
Yeah.
So
And then,
Yeah.
then to boot, I was living in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I just recently moved back here with my family, but I've been in Florida for 12 years. So that whole amount of time, we're working. We have day jobs. We're working at night trying to pull this off,
wow, yeah.
answering questions, answering emails. We just kind of made it clear to the bank. You write us during the day, we'll get back to you that next night, and we'll go from there.
So SBA is a good option, right? So,
SBA.
So I think if you're an entrepreneur and you don't have a business or a whole lot of collateral, I think the SBA is really one of your only options.
Yeah.
But in America, they do support small business,
Yeah.
and thank God for it, because otherwise probably none of us would be in business. 'Cause it sounds like you had an SBA loan. Eventually, after my credit cards and some revenue, I got an SBA loan.
Yep.
The first one was $14,000. It wasn't a whole lot, but
Yeah. So
it was something.
So this is our second location. Our first location, when we started talking to the bank, was on the other side of town.
Yeah.
And it was my best friend growing up, Kevin Ryan, and the Ryan Plumbing Company. Their warehouse, where they were going to consolidate it and let us build a smaller operation there. And we needed a variance from the town. Well, the neighborhood didn't like it. So after a year and a half of dragging our feet with the town council, we said that
Planning board.
planning board, with the planning board, sorry.
Yeah.
We said that with the planning board, we finally just said, all right, that's it. We sat down with the mayor and we talked about other locations.
Mayor makes a lot of decisions around here, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it sure
so-
does.
So we sat
Better
down
be on
with the
his
mayor
good side.
and we talked about a bunch of locations and he kind of said, this is where we want you. We're going to be redeveloping this side of town. And we said, okay. And the bank said, how to go with the mayor. And they said, the mayor wants us here. And the bank said, forget the other location. We want you there too. It makes more sense.
I mean, nice size space too, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful windows. I mean, honestly, really
Yeah.
kind of worked. Everything happens for a reason, right?
Great location too.
Yeah.
Trains right over there.
Yeah, you got Deloitte opening across the
Yeah.
block here, and they got another 100,000 square feet going up or some bullshit, and
Yeah, soon enough.
then like 200 more residents going behind that. So not a bad spot. This is delicious, by the way. This is the pumpkin one.
Oh, the pumpkin.
I am smoking you guys right
Yes, yes. Well, we're doing a lot of talking. I'm on my Oktoberfest still, so
now. This is delicious. So
that's the
the award winning.
Yeah, the first one.
So, and I don't usually like pumpkin like type of spice, but it's like kind of, it's just mild enough, like that it's not like overwhelming, but it's definitely, you could taste it and you could smell it too. It like really,
Yeah.
it smells really good too. It's really
yeah,
good.
That was one of the first ones he honed in on. It won the award, and like I said, when you get like an award and you get some business plan and you've got somebody at the bank who's willing to listen to you,
Yeah.
it was just like figuring it all out from
Yeah.
scratch.
Yep.
Like
Yeah, every night, little by little, like, okay, now we got to deal with the federal government. Now we're dealing with the state. What do we have to maneuver? What kind of paperwork do we have? There's a lot.
Yeah.
federal government.
So then you open in COVID, and I'm going to stay a little bit away from the COVID conversation because sometimes it takes up the whole conversation.
Yeah.
But so then you open during COVID, right? Then you have to figure out how to kind of segue. So now it's post-pandemic, right? And now you're open for 20 months.
20 months.
Yep. And by the way, no small feat opening during that time and staying alive, right? So I don't want to make light of that at all. And then how do you get people in here? Like, what do you do next?
Ooh. So, well, as everybody might know, or actually nobody knows that's watching this probably, but it took us 6 years to open. So from when we started, this
Well, there was rumbling all over town.
over town.
Yeah,
The landlord,
all the time.
The landlord
Yep.
wanted a brewery in this
Yep.
space. He had a sign out there, brewery coming soon.
Mr. DeMayo, right?
Mr. DeMayo,
Yep.
yep, brewery coming soon. And like I said, this was our, this kind of fell in our lap. And so we just started on construction. People started seeing the construction, and then a lot of the locals saw it. And opening day, we opened February 21st for a private party. In 2020, it was our contractor.
Holy cow!
Our contractor wanted to have a private party to celebrate, the beer being made and getting this built out. And then the following weekend, we opened to the public, and there was a line out the door. Like,
Holy cow.
it was a line out the door, and
And then 2 weeks later, we didn't come out of our house for 6 months.
yeah. Oh, no.
21, sorry.
Oh, that was 21. Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. No, 21.
It's still in the middle of it, like
Yeah.
6 feet apart,
Right.
rise of 8 or less.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We were out here with tape measures in between the tables, making
Yeah,
sure that we're
right.
compliant with the guidelines.
Yeah.
And,
Because it doesn't spread that
20.
far.
And then the build out was, the other challenge was that during the build out, you can only have one crew in here at a time. So the plumbers would be in here one day, the electricians one day, and the electricians kept getting COVID and they would shut the whole place down,
Yeah.
sterilize, disinfect. That would be
Jesus, really?
2 week,
Forever.
yep, 2 week timeline shut down. So
Well, I think people underestimate the build out, right? So like whether you're a restaurant, whether you're an office, of course a brewery, the build out's got to be substantial for you guys. Was there any special plumbing or?
Oh, yeah, I'll share pictures with
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
The segment, I'll give you pictures. But yeah, they dug out, I'd say a good 50% of the floor.
Yeah.
For floor drains and plumbing and sewer.
And then you had a repour.
Re-pour, yeah.
Yep.
We had a new sewer line, new water line.
We had to put in fire suppression, so
Yep.
we had to run a brand new water line from the street.
What was this before? It was a garage.
It was an auto repair shop, yeah.
Yep, DeMayo's.
I mean,
So was it? That's funny. So it was my building over there, which is really funny. It was a transmission shop. So I guess I get
Right,
a lot of broken down cars around here.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Because there's also one next door.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. It must have been that side of town. Right? That side of town.
exactly.
And so opening COVID, line out the door, and then it just slowly got better. Then we went to 50%, and then eventually I think 75, and then and then masks up, masks down.
And then you guys open for evenings. Is that what you guys do? And then what about weekends?
Weekends, we're here. Saturday, we open it from noon until midnight, and then Sunday is noon till 8.
And then there's a special rule with breweries and not having to obtain a liquor license in the traditional sense, but then there's also rules about like food and stuff. Can you explain that? And that's New Jersey specific, of course, but yeah,
Right. So when we started advertising, it was social media, right? Social media. We had a list of events in here printed out, so if everybody came in and they said, "Oh, I'm free next Saturday," okay, we'd have a band. We'd always promote those on social media. And then in July of this year, the state kind of flipped the switch on us. We're a limited number of events that we're allowed to have. So we're really focusing on our core customers that know we're here and people that come from out of town to visit breweries.
So what's the rule that with liquor license versus brewing it?
Oh, okay.
Sure. So our license, we pay an annual fee, whereas a liquor license is an upfront cost where they actually own
So
that
one-time
liquor
fee?
license.
Okay.
I think there's only 17 in town.
Yep.
Something like that. But ours is different. It's a limited brewery license is what it's called. It has some restrictions on it. One being, you see there's 2 TVs in here. We can't have more than that. The
That's silly.
food thing, yeah, I know. The food thing is also kind of a challenge. Like we can't provide any kind of food. We can't.
Right.
touch it. People can bring it in with them.
They can bring it in, right?
Bunch of menus
Which is
over there.
pretty common for brewers,
Yeah.
right? You come in, you order some pizza in.
So back
Yeah.
to his idea of having a smoked meat shop and smoked meats, we quickly learned that going through the process and talking to the state, that's off the table. So then we had to decide we're just going to move forward with just the brewery.
Right. The biggest restriction for us that would impact us is they're limiting us to 25 events per year. So that would mean, we do a trivia night every week, but we can't advertise it because then it automatically counts as towards one of our events. And we need to be saving events like this weekend. We're having a party for the rescue 911, which is a
nice.
dog pet rescue.
Yeah.
We're donate a check, and we had to register that as one of our events. So kind of limited as far as
And you literally have to register.
you notify
Yeah.
the state saying, hey, on this date between these times, this is how many people we expect. So and that counts as one of our events.
Yeah.
It's one less thing we can do.
So there's a lot of rules around it. The good thing is you get around, at least in this town, and there's ups and downs from every town, but it's about $1.5 million for a liquor license, right? So, I mean, there's some
So
goods and bads.
Yeah, we
right?
understand that. But
Yeah.
but our big upfront cost was that they didn't have to
Yeah.
buy all that equipment.
Right,
all that
exactly,
equipment.
right. Probably similar.
That's up
Yeah.
there too.
Yeah, yep,
So that was our upfront cost.
yeah. So I think you guys have a pretty cool way of being sustainable here, actually. I think you were telling me last time I was here. Can you talk about a little bit about the hops and stuff?
Yeah, we do 3 things here that we're proud of. First thing is that put about 2,000 pounds of grains into making a batch, and when it comes out, it's soaking wet. It weighs about 4,000 pounds. We have a farmer comes from Monticello, New York, Monticello, New York, upstate. Comes down here. He has a Kobe beef farm, and he likes how we take the sugars out of the grains. He takes the grains away. We donate it to him for free. So he's up there.
And he feeds it to his
His cattle. Yeah, Kobe beef cattle, and especially during the winter, they have no
amazing.
fat on their body, so he just feeds them to keep them alive.
beer-based beef.
Yeah.
We don't even know it.
So he comes down every time we brew, and then so when we're transferring beer, we have to crash it. You could talk a little bit to this.
Yeah. So when we transfer it from the kettle, it's about 212 degrees boiling, and we have to send it through a heat exchanger before it goes, because we need it to go into one of the fermenters at about 68 degrees. So we have to crash it with this piece of equipment called the heat exchanger. So we're sending cold water through it and the hot wort this way, and they kind of go by each other.
Okay.
And it sucks all the heat out. So when the wort comes out, it's 68 degrees. The water is scalding hot. Instead of dumping it down the drain like a lot of people do, we send it back to the hot water tank, that big guy back there.
Yep.
So we can reuse it.
That's
not only
cool.
the
Yeah.
water, but the energy
Yeah.
heat that you was
As
used
well,
to
yeah.
heat it. Yeah.
Our plumber figured out a way to pipe it back into the hot liquor tank, and as that depletes, we're filling it back up again. And it really works out great when he double batches, because that water comes in and it's about 170 degrees where we need it for the next batch. So it's really efficient. And then the third thing we do is it's a steam boiler and a steam jacketed brew house. We use that steam and we capture it with our fans. Because it's an internal system. So that steam that we pass it through the fans, and we use that to heat the place.
That's really cool.
So we don't have another electric bill.
And so whose idea was that? Who's going to take credit for that one?
I think the plumber as well, right?
It's creative.
He's creative, yeah, and Kevin, and the fans were here because it's industrial space. So the fans were here before, and as he's finagling all the things, we were looking to see if we could save them, and he just found out they still make them. So we just got some new ones and said that's what we're gonna do.
Very cool. So I'm drinking this last one here.
Yes. So what are you on? You're on.
So the Oktoberfest.
Yeah, the reason I put the last two on there were because they're our seasonals. The pumpkin just dropped that yesterday officially, and then that's our Oktoberfest. We had our Oktoberfest celebration last Saturday here. The place was packed. It was great.
Was it?
Once again, we
That's
used
awesome.
one of our events with the state and say, hey, we're having an Oktoberfest party. But it went great. It was fun. We had MCs and
Nice.
great. It's a great day.
Yeah.
Well, how does this one come out darker and this one comes out lighter and this one so what's
Yeah, so the kind of grains we use, like the lighter ones have either a 2-row grain, which is pretty
and then
standard
does it
here.
look that way or does it does it have darker color or?
It's like well, the ones, it's very light. It's like a light yellow color.
Okay.
And then we add some specialty grains to make it dark. Like that one, I think has chocolate malt in it, which is very, very dark. Very dark.
Yeah, you could actually almost taste that. That's interesting. Yeah,
They
yeah,
toast it, which gives it
Yeah.
color and body and flavor.
yeah. It's very drinkable though too.
Yeah. A lot of our beers come out of just people coming in asking for different styles of beer. My third style is our sour. It's our first one. People have been coming in for 6-8 months asking for a sour. What's new? It's like we kind of stayed with our base beers that we knew the recipes
Yeah.
on, that were honed in, and this was probably the first one where Heath kind of really stepped out of his comfort zone, because sours can be tricky, right? With the wild yeast. And
What do you call that one?
this one's called Tempe Wick Farmhouse Sour.
Nice.
And it's a guave mango guave.
So Tempe Wick's a local spot, obviously. I have a horse named Independence, named after Patriots Path. So if you ever have a beer that you want to name it,
Oh, Independence.
yeah,
There you go. Send me a picture of the horse. I'll put it on the label.
love that. I'm gonna do it.
Another style that we came up with. Actually, we didn't brought the Colonial thinking that was going to be our cornerstone.
Oh, yeah.
beer.
That's a good point.
And then what we found was, as the people came in that were in charge of procurement for their places, the restaurant owners, managers, they really gravitated towards the Morristown IPA. So this is actually it. I want you to smell. I know you're not into hoppy beers, but you just got to give that one a smell.
And Morristown.
It smells delicious. Do you mind if I have a
What
sip?
you?
So yeah, that one we dubbed a citrus juice bomb.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
So it's not that I don't like them. I just can't drink more than one of them.
Right.
Right, and
It's
we actually
delicious.
kept the alcohol content on most of these beers is pretty low for that reason. You know, people
drinkability.
Yeah, people are like, "Oh, I got this drinking this beer. It's 12%, 13%.
Right,
What am I gonna? I'm not
Yeah.
gonna have a second one."
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
We
that
got a
was
buzz.
6.3
That's
on that
excellent.
one.
So yeah, that one became an instant favorite.
I
Sour
can see
was,
why, for sure.
Sour was the first one he stepped out of his comfort zone.
And then you created a seltzer as well.
yeah.
We every season we try to create a new seltzer that's kind of in season. That's our we call it Endless Summer. It's a tropical punch,
Yeah.
and
I had a big lunch, so.
Yeah, that's a tropical punch, pineapple, mango flavored.
Oh, it's delicious.
Yeah. So because like I said, we want to do the whole spectrum, light to dark. Plus, a lot of people come in and say, "Oh, I have gluten allergy." Okay, well,
Yeah.
right now we have two seltzers.
So what's the difference between a seltzer and a beer?
So when we're brewing the beer, it's with grains,
Yep.
and really with the seltzer, we're just using sugar. So we're cooking sugar in the kettle. We're bypassing the whole grain part. Pretty much just boiling the sugar to make sure everything is sterile, and then we're going to ferment that sugar into alcohol with the yeast. So yeast is going to eat the sugars that are in that would pretty much just the domino sugar or whatever, or sucrose or cane sugar. Put it in the kettle, boil it, crash it down, put
Yep.
yeast in it, and then
And then it's just water.
yeah,
Awesome.
and then we flavor it at the end.
Well, that's really cool.
So we had a pink
It's got nice
lemonade.
colors to it. I like that. That's really
We
cool.
had, we had a pink lemonade flavor for the summer, and then we came up with this one because we didn't want summer to end, so it's endless summer. And the fall we'll have
Yeah, it's apple cinnamon. It should be
cinnamon.
ready by this weekend.
So then, as the last question, I guess, or not last, the last question would be distribution or tap room. If you were a brewer, what would you focus on?
Well,
Do you need, or does one come with the other? How does that go?
well, if the state wants us to be more of a distribution facility than a hangout facility, so it's kind of part of our limited brewing license. Every brewery in New Jersey has that challenge, especially some of the smaller ones. They survive on their tap room. We're slightly larger, so we have a slight advantage where we can off a lot of our styles of beer and then get it out to the local liquor stores, per se. So that's just kind of the challenge. I think it's your size versus volume, right?
Yeah.
So you need.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at currently in our like growth pattern.
Yeah.
Tap rooms is humming along, and now we're trying to grow distribution.
Yeah.
So that's our next phase.
And that utilizes reps and distributors themselves.
Doing it
right?
all ourselves
Yeah.
right now.
Oh wow, good for
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah, because limited brewing license allows you to also self-distribute, which a lot of people don't
Oh,
know.
that's cool.
So, yeah, we just, we're not brewing and we're not creating artwork. We're hitting the road trying to add new accounts or checking in on existing accounts.
So if I'm gonna ask, I'll ask Heath you first. If I'm a home brewer, love this idea, really would like to make some money off of this. If I didn't know what to ask you, what would you tell me?
I would think I think one of the most interesting pieces of advice that we got when we were starting, for somebody who had just done it, he was like, "Trust me, it's going to take twice as long as you think, and it's going to cost twice as much." And he was right on. Even without COVID, it would have taken twice as long as we had intended to get over.
Yeah, when we
Awesome
were
answer.
when we were when we were in our discovery phase of trying to find places, we hit a lot of places, and we went around and we kind of absorbed this from this place and this from this place, and just kind of, picked ideas. And I remember talking to one guy, and he said, "If you're not into it, if your heart and soul is not into it, don't do it, because trust me, I would have saved 2 years of my life trying to open this place."
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work. A lot of,
If I was a home brewer and I wanted to make some revenue off of this, and I didn't know what to ask you, what would you tell me there, Darren?
Well, if you're a home brewer, number one, you can't sell it. So don't try and sell it without a state license, because you get in trouble that way. So just make it and give it, enjoy it with your friends, and then start doing your research. You know, go to the state and start there.
Yeah. I'm
That's
sure it's not a short road to get it
nope.
done.
Right.
Yep.
And we're not saying that to discourage people from trying it because it's awesome,
Yeah.
but to manage expectations, like to understand that you have to be patient. It's going to take time to maneuver your way through the state and the town and federal.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of figuring it out as you go.
Yeah.
So that's what
Yeah.
we learned.
Well, you guys got an awesome product. You got an awesome location, huh? By happenstance. Pretty cool, right? So, and hopefully we got an awesome show here. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for the beers.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
Salute.